Have you ever wondered why the trading community gets such a bad rap, especially when the influencers and the educators come out of the woodwork and they build trust with you and they're creating this marketing content to get you to purchase, to get you to follow their trading advice, etc. Well, you don't know who to trust. And it's unfortunate because usually the loudest people, the people with the biggest following and the most notoriety, get there for reasons that aren't always the best. They're not always out for your best interests. If you know anything about the history of ICT and you followed his journey as a content creator and an educator, you probably already came to some your own conclusions that something is awry, something doesn't make sense. And in this interview that he's giving, I'm going to show you a couple of things, particularly dealing with the CFTC, that he says in his story that, and I think they're lies. I think he's lying to the audience, and I just don't think that people are aware because he knows that the majority of his following are too young to really know any better because they weren't around during this time. So I want you to listen closely.
It was the Commodity Futures Trading Commission.
Yeah.
It was during the time of the mid 90s. I had a following that was growing on America Online, and I was posting things about the marketplace, and I was calling market moves, and I did not understand the legalities of what it was I was doing.
Okay, so he's in the mid 90s. This is key. The mid 90s. He's on America Online. He has got a trading room. He's giving trading advice, so he says, and the CFTC is not happy with what he is doing. Now, you don't know this because he doesn't talk about it. But the reason that he's telling you the story, in my opinion, is because throughout his journey and his notoriety and his popularity, and as he's coming up as an educator, he was trading on demo accounts. He was making videos of his live trades and their demo accounts. And he's publicly said that they're demo accounts. And the reason that he is doing this is because of the story that he's telling you right now. It's because the CFTC came after him. That's what he wants you to believe. But when you look at the details, you're going to say, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Now, if you're someone that has no experience and no brain in your head, in your skull, and no common sense, you're going to be like, oh, I don't care. Well, that's your prerogative. But there are plenty of people out there that should care, because when your educator or your guru or your influencer, your mentor is telling you something and he's teaching you something, and then you catch him lying continuously throughout his entire career, it makes you question the credibility that he has, and is what he is telling you even true? So pay attention.
I didn't have any risk disclaimers. That's where I was wrong. I didn't talk about how, you could lose more money than you have. So one day, I was renting a room from my aunt and uncle who I was residing with at the time when I was coming up. And I got a knock on the door, and well-dressed young man says, I'm looking for Michael Huddleston. I said, I'm him. Boom, you've been served. Hands me an envelope and runs back to his car. I'm like,
So the CFTC comes to ICT's house and serves him with a court summons or paperwork with a lawsuit while he's living in his aunt and uncle's house, likely driving pizza for Domino's, as he has said in the past.
what is this? And it said Washington, D.C. and the whole Commodity Futures Trading Commission. And it was more or less them saying, you got to give us all of your emails, all of your laptop, everything you got to present it to us, and you got to come out here and see us. And as fate would have it, my laptop.
Notice Korbs here. It's like he's just sort of in a space. Like, is this story for real? I don't know anything about Korbs. Maybe he actually believes it. Maybe he's using this interview to sort of gain some notoriety and get some attention or eyes on his YouTube channel. I don't know. But he just sort of looks like he's in a daze over here. Doesn't it? It's like, is he having a hard time believing it, or does he actually believe it?
Actually died the day before. So I had nothing to provide for them. And I ended up calling, and they just basically were saying, look, what you're doing, you can't do it. You're not even providing risk disclaimers or nothing. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna make this real easy for you. I'm just gonna stop, because I don't know what I'm doing in terms of just, I thought it was freedom of speech. We don't have freedom of speech in this. This is not freedom of speech. So I had to more or less just stop doing what I was doing. But the passion in me, like I wanted to teach, like I wanted to share it. I wanted to help other people because I knew how passionate I was when I was learning how to do it. So I think it was maybe, I don't know, a year and a half. I slowly crept back on the scene, but I was constant disclaimers, constant. It was obnoxious, all the disclaimers I had. But they subpoenaed AOL and anybody that ever instant messaged me and everything. But nobody lost any money to have a damaging, thing to me. So everything that I called, much like they've been seeing this year, it's pretty much spot on. And
Okay. Okay, ICT. He's telling us that he calls up the CFTC and he's like, hey guys, I'm sorry that I was doing this. I didn't know it was wrong. I tell you what, my laptop died. I'm going to stop. And again, he has told you this is the mid 90s. So there's an inherent problem already, but we'll get to that in a second. And then he says, okay, you know, the CFTC agreed after they had started this court case. They were going to sue me for breaking the law and giving financial advice and not being registered, etc. So he says, and then he says, well, they basically said, okay, Michael, we'll let you go. We're going to drop this case, etc., blah, blah, blah. You just stop doing it. And then he says, well, I didn't hurt anyone because they couldn't find anyone that lost money in my group, just like in 2022 and 2023, my financial advice, my trading calls were so immaculate that no one lost money, so I didn't hurt anyone. That's the story he wants to tell you. But let's look at the problem. The glaring problem right away is the year 1990s, the mid 1990s. Laptops were not really a thing. If you lived in that time, if you were born after 1990s and you're not aware of this, computers are fairly new commercially. People haven't been using them but maybe 20, 30, 40 years. And laptops surely weren't being used that often either because Wi-Fi wasn't a thing. Okay, so we go and look at the list of the history of laptops and we just get an idea roughly what was going on. And you can see in the mid 90s, there was only a couple of laptops that ICT could have been using. Only a couple. 1994, likely the only one around during this time. He said the mid 90s. I'm giving him credit here. 1994. The problem with this is he was working at Domino's, living with his aunt and uncle, trying to make ends meet, renting a room from them, trying to do his trading thing. And he wants you to believe that he has a laptop that was probably ridiculously expensive. So expensive that I doubt he could afford it. Probably like the price of half of his yearly salary, or if not more. At that time, these things would have been ridiculous. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that the CFTC, when they file court cases against people, there's record of it. Well, when I come to their website and I look his name, I search his name, I only see one case, and it has nothing to do with ICT. It was a Supreme Court case that they're using and they're citing against someone else that had defrauded customers and misrepresented prospectus statements for securities. Okay, and he's trying to tell you that they came after him. And it reminds you, this is all because of his story about demo trading that everyone forgets. He's giving you a web of lies to cover the fact that he was demo trading. So he gave you an excuse because he got called out early in the maybe 2015 to 2017 area. He got called out for demo trading. And this is the story, the excuse of why he is telling you that he's a demo trader. And he doesn't actually put risk in the game. It's ridiculous. If you pay attention, you can spot the lie after lie after lie because none of it adds up. It doesn't make sense. In his mind, it makes sense. And maybe Korbs thinks it makes sense. But if you've been trading for any length of time, like significant length of time, like over a decade, you're going to hear this story and you should be getting red flags constantly. And this is the reason why people don't trust the trading industry, because there are sharks out there. They will tell you lie after lie after lie in hopes to build trust so that you will give them money. And friends, that's exactly what I think is happening here.